Hello, everybody. This is Carol from Friendly Quail, and I'm here for part two of making this journal out of an antique book. And oh, it's been like 4 days since I did the last video, and I've been working because I have to figure out what I'm gonna do, and I'm kind of trying it on another book since I haven't done it before, but I'm getting there and I am ready to show you my next step. And so if you are new here, welcome. If you're a subscriber, previous subscriber, I'm glad you're back, and I'm going to get going and show you the next step on making this journal out of a book cover. Now, on the last one, I cut out the text block. I scraped off this extra around here so that it wouldn't stick out from underneath the new end papers. And I have a piece of cheesecloth ready to glue in. This is what I'm using. It's grade 90 very fine mesh. And it's thin, but it will reinforce these hinges right here where the book cover goes open and close, and make it a lot better. So before I actually glue it in, I want to show you what I was looking at with like for end papers. Now I have these. They were like the original end papers, and I could use those, but when I looked at the first page that I'm going to have, it just looked boring. This has the red and the black and all of that. So I thought, well, save these, maybe use them for ephemera. And I started looking for something else that I could use. And I looked through like all the different cardstock pads that I had, and I found this one. Now, I bought this at Tuesday morning, really cheap. And I most of these, it's because I was going to do like a cowboy journal, but I saw this red one that's right here, and so I looked in there, and I think that is what I'm going to use. And much of the papers I've been picking out are pretty neutral, but I thought, oh, that looks pretty good. And the red actually looks closer in real life than it does on video. But I thought, I like that much better. So I cut those the size of a page in the book, because that's what Catherine does, my inspiration. And sometimes she has to just cut a little bit off the edge. So I've got those till I'm ready to put them in. I've got it marked front and back with the up so that I make sure I put them in the same direction. So that is going to be my end papers. So I'm going to start by putting in this cheesecloth to support it, and then I'm going to reinforce this page because this is actually glued on to this. And so this is the page, and I'm going to reinforce it with some washi tape and then cut it down to the size that I'm making the pages in here, which are a little bit smaller than what the actual previous book pages were. So let's get started. All right. Now I'm using a white glue, and it is pH neutral. And so I'm just going to start by whoops. I cleaned this after the time I used it, so let's see. There it is. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of put glue on this middle part, and this is the new spine liner that I had made and wrapped in the around the what do you call it? Rolling pin. Yeah. One of my subscribers said she just cuts them from a roll from like wax paper or cling wrap or something, and it's already got the curve in it. I thought that was a pretty smart idea. So what I'm doing is just getting this with my little brush here smeared along. I'm kind of on, I'll get to the edges and into these little parts in a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to lay this on here, and I'm just kind of centering it. And then I'll push it down. The glue kind of comes through, and it's okay. In fact, I'm going to be actually brushing glue on it on purpose. Okay, we'll get that in. Then I'm going to lift this up, and I'm going to put some glue over here. I'm going to make sure I get it in this hinge area. And then I'm going to also get it on this area over here. Okay. I'm going to use my little makeup silicone brush to get it down into that. I should have smeared that before I laid it down. Oops, I forgot. Get that back in there. And that'll help it keep that memory of that hinge. Okay. I'm going to do the other side. And this time I'm going to remember to spread it. I'll make all the mistakes so you don't have to. Okay. And get that in there. Okay. And then I'll flip that over. Get it into the hinge. Concentrating now. Forget to talk. Okay. Okay, now got that ready. All right. Then you take your text block and you put it, this is just some wrapping from something that I purchased. And I put that around because I'm going to use the text block and put that back in. and push it in there to seat it so that it will go back to what it was before I took the text block out. Now, I do kind of push on here a little bit to get that crease back down around that spine hinge. And then I'll put it up to the back and I'll do the same thing. Just getting it to remember that hinge again. Now, what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this off camera, Catherine uses bricks. I don't have any bricks, but I do have a really big, heavy book. So I'm going to put this over on my table with this edge just slightly hanging off so that this can stay like this. And then I'm going to put a really heavy book on, and then I'm going to leave it until tomorrow. And then that plastic will peel right off. It'll keep the text block from sticking. It'll dry and it'll peel right off. So I'm going to put that over here where you can't see. Put my heavy book on it. I use this really big heavy book and it works great. And make sure it's all set, and now I will leave it alone until it dries. Okay, now this has been glued onto this page. It's just glued along this edge. But I want to be able to see the copyright 1909 that's on here. So I want to make sure that it stays on, plus it has these holes in it. So I'm going to reinforce it from this side only because I want this to make sure it's attached well too. So I found some washi that has words on it like dictionary definitions, like imagination, journey, dream, that type of thing. And I'm going to use some of that. And I will use my glue stick because this washi tape loses its stickiness. Washi tape is more like masking tape. It's not made to stay on all the time forever. And I never trust it. Now what I'm going to do is line up the edge of the washi tape with this black line over here. And I know from doing the other one that I'll be cutting it off just on the edge of that little black line. So I'm going to be putting this on and pushing it down. And that will reinforce where the holes were for the sewing, and it also will hold this on a little bit more securely. I'm going to cut the excess off. I don't have to worry about it being perfect because I'm going to cut that off on the paper cutter anyway. Now, normally I would wait until it's dried, but because I want to cut it, I'm going to fold it back on that seam, or not seam, that fold where it goes into the book. In fact, I might take my bone folder and kind of go over it. Make sure it's really down well and it's all on there. And now I'm going to cut it down. Oops, sorry. I've been cutting all my pages 5 wide, doubled like this. And in this case, oh, that's a little bit, I'll leave it a little bit bigger because I don't want to totally cut that off. It's the first page. All right. And then I've been cutting them 7 1/4 3/4, and this is about 8 inches. So I'm going to cut off about 1/8 of an inch or so. And now I will turn it around and get it perfectly to the 7 3/4 size, and I will cut that up. And now it is ready. It's been cut down a little bit, but I still have the oh, come on, it's stuck. Oh, no, it's not. This is the first page. Duh. Okay, so I don't have to worry about reinforcing it here because it's reinforced here. But this will open up. You'll be able to turn it, and you can see the copyright date, and it happened to have the contents. And that will become the first page of my first signature. So I also went through all my papers, and this is going to be an all sorts journal, as Catherine calls them, and she uses all sorts of different papers. So I've used some ledger paper, graph paper, music paper, coffee dyed paper. I've used some from books, a little bit that kind of fit in with the theme, and some littler pieces like this. So this is going to be my first page. I can move that here, and I kind of got a big paper clip on here to hold all of the pages in the signature. So what I've decided to do is I've got 7 signatures here, and of course I have the paper clips on them, but it's going to give me plenty of room for putting them in and having room to put things in, some pockets and that type of thing. So my husband is going to make me one of those paper presses that like Catherine has. It was Sea Lemon on YouTube, shows how to do it with some boards, some cutting boards from the dollar store, and it will and you use bolts and washers and wing nuts, or my husband said he'd get me some knobs, and I will have a press to press my pages nice and flat, and that will be my next step for this. And then I'll get back to putting the book together, and then we'll have some fun decorating it. So for now, this is it. I'm not going to show you any more. Well, I could show you the one that's already dry real quick. This is the other one that I did, and this will be like this. So I have to decide what fabric I'm going to use to sew my signatures into. But see, it comes right. I wasn't convinced that the glue wouldn't stick to the plastic, but it didn't. It peeled right off, and I've got that in. I made the new one a little bit smaller. I didn't think I needed to go quite as far, but this is fine. And because when I peeled it off, I did sand it a little bit to make sure that it would be flat when I put this in. And this will be going in. I'm sure I'm going to have to cut just like 1/8 of an inch or something off of here. And that will be for another day. So thank you for being here. I hope you'll try this too. It's really fun. I'm totally new at it, so if I can do it, you can do it. Okay, so thanks for being with me today. This is Carol from Friendly Quail saying bye.